So now that we've learned about the properties of rectangles, let's learn about the properties of rhombuses, or rhombi. So similarly to rectangles, a rhombus is a type of parallelogram. So it also has opposite sides are congruent, opposite sides are parallel, and opposite angles congruent, consecutive or adjacent angles supplementary, diagonals that bisect each other, plus 4 congruent sides, and its diagonals are perpendicular. In addition, its diagonals bisect or cut in half opposite angles. So the diagonals here give us a whole lot to work with. Perpendiculars, which give us into the region of right triangles, and diagonals that are bisecting opposite angles. Okay, so if we're going to look at a side here, let's just mark this up. If JK is 12, then we know all of the sides because a rhombus has 4 equal sides. So if JK is 12, then JM also has to be 12. Okay. Also ML and KL would be 12. We're also given here that JN is equal to 7. Okay, so I'll use the different color for that. JN, which is a portion of our diagonal, is equal to 7. And our diagonals bisect each other, so we know that this portion has to be 7. Okay. Now, unlike a rectangle, the diagonals do bisect each other, but they are not congruent. So I cannot assume that the other lengths are 7. I can say that since JN is 7, then JL, the entire length of the bisector, or the diagonal, would be 14. Now we're trying to find ML, okay? MN. So if I have MN, that's going to be a different section. Okay, so MN, if I'm looking for that, let's make that X. I know that that has to be equal, or I know that that length can be found using Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so if I look at this as a triangle, and because it's a rhombus, the diagonals intersect at 4 right angles, so they intersect at perpendicular lines. So I can use this as a triangle and use Pythagorean theorem to solve for the missing side. Right, so we're going to use a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. In this case, our legs are 7 and x. So 7 squared, a squared, plus b squared, which is our unknown, we're going to let that equal x, is going to be equal to our hypotenuse, or the longest side across from the right angle, and 12 squared. Okay, so that's going to be equal to 49 plus x squared is equal to 144. And we're going to subtract 49 from 144, leaving us with x squared is equal to 95. Now remember, the opposite of a square exponent is to take the square root. They cancel each other out. So now, when I take the square of x squared, I get regular old x. My answer is the square root of 95. You can leave it like that, or if you'd like, you can change it to 9.7. Fine either way. So that means MN is 9.7, and MK, which would be 2 times MN, the entire length, right, would be about 19.4. Or, of course, 2 times square root of 95. You can leave it either way. Okay, let's check out some angles, shall we? So if I'm looking at the angles, I've been given 38. Okay, So here is 38. That gives us some information. We know that angle 4 has to be 38. Okay. We also know that each of the angles in the interior are 90 degrees. So angle 4 we found was 38, alternate interior angles. And then each of the interior intersections of the diagonals are going to be 90 degrees, which is what is one of the definitional properties of a rhombus. So if we know that this is 38 and this is 90, then we can figure out what angle 7 is by adding them up together to equal 180, right? Because I know that this little triangle here has to be equal to 180. So 38 plus 90 plus some other amount of 7 has to equal 180 degrees. So if I add all of those together, I should get that x is equal to 52 degrees. So that means angle 7 is 52 degrees. And alternate interior angles would mean that number 2 would be 52 degrees.